If you've got kids that are getting ready to become adults and head into the real world out on their own, you may consider making them an adulting binder. This is something that has all those little documents and files that are just so important for them to keep track of and not lose. I made one for my daughter with our personal family information, and I decided to make a separate one to show everybody else so they can see what might be in there. So the first thing I have is a family medical history. You'll notice that this one is not my family. We came up with some hypothetical names with some hypothetical ailments. But basically, this is a place for you to list your child's name and then what kind of cancers, high blood pressure, all those questions that they might be asked at their doctor. Do you have a family history of kidney problems? Do you have a family history of high cholesterol? You don't have to go super far back. In fact, I think I went farther back than necessary. I went to the great-grandparent level from my children. But I really think that most of the time they're just looking for your parents and maybe your grandparents, unless there's something particularly notable. But I made grandparents and parent things bold, so it was easier to see. And then I did note the other information. And additional relatives like aunts and uncles, usually not particularly relevant for genetic disorder type of stuff that might be passed down. But I put it there anyhow. If there's a really direct cause that would result in this not being something like our hypothetical great-grandmother Rue, who had emphysema, we're saying that she was a smoker. So that's kind of something that if Mary Contrary is not a smoker, probably not going to inherit that from great-grandmother Rue. Same with great-grandfather Obed, who had esophagus cancer, but was part of the cleanup of Hiroshima. So just some little side notes, nothing too wordy, but this allows them to have that family medical history. The second page of that goes over just how, for their own personal benefit, what everybody's names and maiden names were, and the cause of death of any family members, and how old they were when they died. Thought that might be relevant information as they move through their life and have to assess what risks affect them. The second section is their personal medical history. Some of this was kind of optional, but as I started writing it for my own child, I realized the dates of different procedures that had happened. Maybe something that she might not remember and sometimes is relevant. So things like any allergies and their own birth information. Really, again, you don't need a full birth plan. It's just anything that could impact their own birth experiences, like if a mother had gestational diabetes or what's that other one? High blood pressure, preeclampsia. Those sorts of things might be relevant to note if you remember them. If they had any surgeries, if they were ever put under general anesthesia, if there was any complications or there weren't complications. Those are all things you can note in there. Did leave additional blank spots if they choose to continue to add to this. They may not, I don't know. There's a place for them to keep their birth certificate so they don't lose it. Their own immunization records, you can slide into this pocket. Their social security card, a passport if they have one, and then additional, you can put additional page protectors in here for things like marriage license, maybe high school and college transcripts, that sort of thing. On the inside front and back cover, I just use packing tape to include a life-giving verse and an inspiring quote, since most likely they'll have this with them for a long time, maybe longer than my inspiring words can follow them. So in my own daughters, I put some favorite Bible verses that when times get tough and you're inspecting your own family history and seeing doctors for yourself, these would be good words to be reminded of that are valuable in our family. So hope this was helpful. If you can think of other things that would need to be kept and not lost, let me know what you think I might need to add to this. I don't want to include everything in their entire lives, just those most important documents that Her dad and I have been in charge of keeping track of all these years that we're now passing on to our kids to be in charge of. Also got them a fireproof satchel off of Amazon. Found one for about $20 to store this inside of and any other important documents. Not too big, not too heavy, but just something that they can store this and other documents in of importance before they step out into their lives on their own. All right, hope that was helpful.